I would like to ask.
Can Kundalini become activated just spontaneously in someone
Can
who is?
you speak a little louder and repeat what you asked?
Can Kundalini be activated spontaneously in someone who's not meaning for it to happen?
You know, Rachel, I don't understand the question. You'll have to speak
Okay.
up. I'm maybe getting a little deaf here. I don't know, but I
Can you hear me at all?
I hear you, but
Okay,
it
okay.
sounds like a jumble.
Got it.
So ask the question again.
Okay. Is it possible for Kundalini to be activated spontaneously in someone who isn't practicing for it to happen?
Yes, it's very possible. I mean, a lot of the hallucinatory experiences when people do drugs happens because the LSD, the marijuana, whatever, it activates Kundalini. Most people, as I've said at least a million times, most people don't have a chemistry inside to be able to deal with Kundalini. Kundalini is a really powerful energy. And unless you have grounding and a foundation inside, I mean, it can really twist and turn your brain, your cell structure in the body. It could do a lot of very negative things to a human being. You might have visions. I mean, I remember when I first did drugs, I would spend 3, 4 hours sitting in the heart of the Buddha. I mean, it completely blew me away. I was having this experience. At the end of the session, I could barely move. I was so tired. I was so exhausted, enervated. I just couldn't function because all of that energy was rose inside me and created those visions. I had no system to deal with that. It was too strong. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. There are sanitariums full of people that have had Kundalini experiences. And the only way doctors or psychologists know how to deal with it is they just feed them drugs. They feed them uppers and downers and all of that other stuff. I mean, the miracle of what we practice is that in the process of activating Kundalini, we are building a system inside that is strong enough to deal with it. Without that kind of system, Kundalini can be a very dangerous thing. It's too strong. So the gradual development of an inner life, a chakra system, gives us the capacity to activate Kundalini and allow Kundalini to be a guiding force that takes us to a state of enlightenment. But we have the chemistry to deal with it. We also have the chemistry to deal with life. I mean, there are three extremely powerful energies: life itself, karma, our living in the world, is a very powerful thing. And you need to be highly trained and balanced inside to be able to deal with it. Spirit is a very powerful thing, Shakti. You need to be trained inside to be able to deal with it. And the third force is Kundalini. So it's like a trifecta. We are at the center of these three energies. Every single one of them can make us crazy. Every single one of them could eat us alive. And it's why it's essential to live in the world, to be happy in the world, you know, to build a system that enables you to do it. To receive spirit, the energy of God, you need a system. That energy is, excuse me, that energy is infinite in the universe. We need a system that can deal with it. We need a system that can deal with Kundalini. All of this meditation is about, honestly, it's a process of building that kind of system. And if you bypass all the steps, it could be very dangerous, because all of these energies are such a powerful nature. If we don't build an inner life, I mean, you know what karma does to people living in the world? It turns people into the living dead. It turns people into zombies. Gives them heart attacks, cancer, all kinds of mental and physical conditions that they have to deal with. And it's only because they haven't built the system inside that's strong enough to be able to deal with life, to be able to transform that powerful energy that we have to interact with every day into one's teacher instead of being one's enemy. And the same thing with Kundalini and spirit. So yes, Kundalini can be activated. I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't know it was Kundalini. I activated it. I took LSD. I smoked marijuana, and I said, "Holy shit! Look at all this." I mean, look at this level of consciousness that was so far removed from my everyday reality that I was blown away by it. But then I realized at the end of every one of those sessions, I realized, Stuart, you're not going to be able to do it this way. This way is going to kill you. It's going to drain you of your life force, your energy. It's going to destroy you as a human being. And I had a friend, a very close friend of mine when I was younger, a French kid. And he was about 3-4 years younger than me. And I used to do trips with him. And he was the one who first told me about Rudy, this guy. His name was Raymond, and he told me about Rudy, and he said, well, Rudy wouldn't take him he said, there's this incredible teacher who has this art gallery, and I knew the art gallery because I used to walk past it all the time on Greenwich or on 7th Avenue South, and I went to him, and he wouldn't take me because I wouldn't stop using drugs. That's the first time I heard about Rudy. And then this friend of mine, he was a dear friend, I got a phone call one day that he died, he burned to death in some fire in his apartment. And I knew it was during one of those sessions he used to do, that he wound up dying. So Kundalini is a very powerful energy. It can be activated. It can also, have somebody wind up devoting themselves to what is a complete illusion if you don't have the system to deal with it, and dangerous. That's why the whole essence of what I teach and what I learned from Rudy is building that kind of system. Once you start building that kind of system, the Kundalini will come organically. And you will have the capacity to deal with it. I mean, when I ran my gallery on 13th Street, I used to have a lot of people come in that would tell me about this incredible vision they had, 30 years ago, 25 years ago. And I would look at them and I'd say, so what did you do about it? Except talk about the vision? Nothing. And you look at them in their present state and they were half dead. They were like the living dead. But they would tell you about this great Kundalini experience they had when they were 22 years old. It was very sad to me that God had presented them with this amazing opportunity to be able to look into a world that transcends the ordinary world that people live in, and they didn't take advantage of it. They they just spent their life talking about that extraordinary experience I had when I was 21 years old. I can't tell you how many people I met like that. They would come in and just, just strangers I never met. They would just tell me these things. I mean, I had some guy emailed me, maybe 2, 3 weeks ago about also this Kundalini-itis he had, with Shakti and female goddess and this and that. And I answered him, I said, well, what are you going to do about it? What do you want to do about it? You've had these experiences. What do you want to do about it? I never heard back from him. I think it probably scared the shit out of him. He thought, discovering that he has to work on himself. And all this is an entree into something amazing. And if you don't do the inner work, when you're 30 years later, you'll talk about that incredible experience you had. There's nothing there. So Kundalini can be activated, you know, but more importantly, develop an inner life that is strong enough to be able to use Kundalini as a pathway to God. Because Kundalini is a powerful force, it's not a weak force. And one needs that inner capacity to be able to use it that way. So with all this esoteric stuff gets down to a very practical thing. Are we grounded? Do we have foundation? Are we focused in the chakra below the navel? Have we built an inner life that is strong enough to embrace God without getting burnt to a cinder? Is strong enough to be able to live in the world and to be happy and full of joy and love, and as we live in the world, work out our karma. And the third element is Kundalini, which is the pathway out of the world, pathway to enlightenment. I mean, look, I'm not against drugs. People use drugs. I have no opinions about that. I met too many people in prison because of drugs, and they really shouldn't have been there. And I have no opinions about that. But I do, it's the kind of thing. Am I for drugs? I'm for drugs and against them at the exact same time. Mostly because I lived through the experience and I knew what it almost did to me. If it wasn't for Rudy, I mean, I probably would have died in my early 30s. Does anyone else have a question? I hope this is clear. I don't know how to make it any clearer. I can explain this to you. I can't do it for you. I can help you get there through these classes and through the transmission of Shakti and energy. But then I need the help of everyone who wants to get enlightened. They have to really work on themselves to build the kind of system I'm talking about. Otherwise, it's just it's Macbeth. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace to the last syllable of recorded time. You know, does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Maybe I'm a little bit like Socrates. He used to call himself a gadfly. He would pursue everybody, extracting the truth from whatever they told him, and I'm kind of like that in a way. I understand profoundly what is necessary to do to have a spiritual life. It's very difficult to find people who are willing to invest their time and energy in learning how to do it, other than what's convenient for them. So, I'm saying this because I've been through it. I've been through the whole 9 yards. And of course, when I met Rudy, I mean, for 6 years, I had my ass kicked intelligently and with love and with understanding how important it was for me to get that training, to truly get that training. Does anyone else have a question? Okay, I just have an announcement. Retreat starts tomorrow evening here, and there'll be no class on Sunday. There will be class Monday, and also in the European, Israeli thing on Tuesday. But on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'm going on vacation. I'm going on vacation. I need, I can't tell you how tired I need to just rest. I got to change the energy a little bit. So I'm going to go away for a few days and just take it easy for a few days. And then the following Monday, class will resume again. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Oh, I suggest that, Kenny and Bob are going to post my next Tantra 27 or something like that. And I think even just as it more interesting than what I've written is the mandala that I'm posting with. It's really extraordinary. And it's not, it's not a Buddhist mandala. It's actually a Jewish mandala of the Kabbalah, which is the mystical aspect of Judaism. And it's something really extraordinary, a very remarkable painting. So I suggest going there. I mean, I'm not religious. I just have a deep appreciation for spirituality, and I try to post things that are spiritual without, you know, I mean, there's Christian things. I mean, that Donatello, Mary Magdalene is one of the most extraordinary statues I've ever seen in my life. And I mean, I've seen it in Florence, and it's just something unbelievable, unbelievable sculpture. And I posted it because of the level of art that he produced in that sculpture. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, well, thank you. God bless you all. And again, what can I say except I have so much gratitude for each and every person that attends these classes. As I said before, you know, you're all my teacher. Your presence here is making me find this kind of wisdom and go deep enough in myself to be able to come up with the kind of things I talk about and the level of what the class is all about. So God bless you all, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody on Monday, this coming Monday. Thank you, and bless you.
Have a great retreat, Stuart.
Thank you.
Mm.